every movie has their inconsistencies. Every movie has their flaws. And even the villains, a lot of times, it doesn't matter about why the villain does what he does. Alright, y'all, so here's another one that was on my mind, and the inspiration for this video was I was watching Jody's Corner spoiler talk with J3 and the other member of the Justice League. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name. And it was all about why Jody thought that Infinity War was not really a good movie, and him and J3 was going back and forth. I'm watching this video, and first of all, big ups to Jody's Corner and J3 Entertainment, okay? These two brothers are a big reason why I started my channel, because I just wanted to join the conversation. So, what Jody really struck a chord was when he said that Thanos was not a good villain. Brother, look here. The reasons for why he was saying what he's saying, alright, he did make sense in a lot of the points that he was making about why the movie didn't make sense in a lot of areas. But my thing is, name me one movie that is without sin, okay? Jody should be working for Cinema Sins also. No movie is without sin. Even the most perfect movie in a lot of people's eyes have problems, okay? The first Avengers, which is my personal favorite MCU movie, even to this day, I put Infinity War probably number 2 right behind the first Avengers, but to me, first Avengers is probably the most flawless out of all the MCU movies, but it is not without its problems, okay? Every movie has their problems. So, yeah, what he was saying makes sense, but it does not take away from how great this film was. Now, back to Thanos. Thanos was that nigga. I don't care what Jody says, Thanos was that nigga. And his beef with Thanos was that we really don't know much about him, okay? Why does he think this? Okay, why does he feel this way about that? Okay, what is his motivation for doing this, and what is his motivation for doing that? Bro, like, sometimes it doesn't even matter. Like, okay, you take a villain like Killmonger, to have his backstory and everything like that, it made sense for his character because it just fit. But when you are such a presence, like Thanos more than anything is a presence. This guy is like the Suge Knight of the MCU, okay? Thanos just has that look, that presence, where you just know he ain't the one to fuck with. They do explain what he's trying to do, what he's trying to accomplish, okay? Okay, well, why is he trying to accomplish that? Because he wants to get rid of that half of the population because he feels like if not, it's going to weaken the planet. Okay, where does he get that from? Doesn't matter. My personal favorite villains in movie history, okay? The first ones that come to mind, Darth Vader, General Zod, Superman 2, The Predator, Clubber Lang, Rocky 3, okay? Freddy Krueger. For example, alright, you take Darth Vader. In the first Star Wars movie, Darth Vader was pretty much Tarkin's henchman, alright? He was his dog that he had on a leash, alright? You don't really know, Vader really has no motivations and none of that stuff. He works for the Empire, he's a big, bad, evil motherfucker, and he was the most memorable villain at that time because of his presence and what he did. Vader just fucked people up, and you remembered him. And of course, as the movies went on, you learn more about his character. General Zod in Superman 2. General Zod just wanted to take over the world. Like, that was his whole thing. Like, Krypton blew up, he needed another world to conquer. So when he gets to Earth, they realize that they all have powers. Him and his two other cronies, they have powers just like Superman. So with their powers and with the rest of the world being weak, we can take over this planet. That's the whole thing. You don't know why he's like that. You don't know how he became like that unless you read the comic book. But just from watching the movie, it didn't matter because Terrence Stamp played Zod so well. And to this day, he's one of the most quoted, most memorable villains of all time. Clubber Lang wanted to win the championship. He hated Rocky, alright? You don't know where Clubber Lang's hate comes from. You don't know why he is the way he is. We never know why the hell he hates Apollo Creed, but he hates Apollo Creed, okay? But Clubber Lang is one of the illest villains of all time. Why? Because of his presence. I know I'm saying that word a lot, but look here. With a villain, if you have a certain, like, just like Charlie Murphy says, like an aura, okay, that makes you memorable. You it. Predator. He just wanted to hunt. He wanted to hunt and collect trophies. Why? We don't know. Okay, what made him come to Earth? We don't know. Freddy Krueger, another one. Freddy had, what, 7, 8 movies, okay? In the first Elm Street, all we knew was that Freddy was a child murderer. Well, he was a murderer, but come to find out he was really a child molester. But I guess that was too dark to put in the movie. But he was a child murderer, and the parents came together, they took him out, and he came back as a ghost and haunted people in their dreams. Okay, now I can see Jody, okay, why was he a child murderer? Okay, what made him get to that point where he was murdering children? Okay, why is he like that? How did he get the idea for the glove? How did Freddy come up with the idea to make the glove? Okay, why did he use 4 knives instead of 5? We don't know these things. We don't know these things. But Freddy is still Freddy, and he's still an icon. And all we know is that he was a child murderer, he built this glove, and he killed kids in their dreams. Sometimes, dude, less is more. Sometimes the less you know, it just adds mystique to the character, and it makes for a better villain. Every movie has their inconsistencies. Every movie has their flaws. And even the villains, a lot of times, it doesn't matter about why the villain does what he does. The Joker in The Dark Knight, he was a dog chasing cars. He wouldn't know what to do with one if he caught one. That's the Joker. Why is he doing what he's doing? He's just a dog chasing cars. There's really no motivation for what the Joker does what he does, but the Joker is one of the most beloved villains. Like Heath Ledger, that's his role now. Jack Nicholson played the Joker, Cesar Romero played the Joker, but the Joker belongs to Heath Ledger because he had that presence, he had that aura, he had that charisma, he had that badassery that you need as a villain. The number one thing for me as a villain is badassery, okay? All that backstory, all that motivation, all that shit is good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. Killmonger, done perfectly, but it's not always needed. Somebody like Thanos, it's not necessary. But then again, we have another movie to go more into his character, okay? This was like an introduction to Thanos, and it was the journey of collecting all the stones. That's Infinity War. Who's to say that in the next film, we don't really get to know about Thanos and what he is, what motivates him, what drives him? We can get all that, okay? It's a possibility that we do, but if we don't, look here. Thanos to me is one of the most memorable villains right now of all time, all right? Because after I watched Infinity War, I was like, damn, like that, he was that nigga, man. He was that dude. Like I said, he's the Suge Knight of the MCU, okay? He just snaps everybody up. Were they inconsistent with his powers in the Gauntlet? Yeah. Okay, the whole thing with Thor's axe coming through and the stones couldn't stop it. Okay, I will agree with Jody on that one. I did have a problem with that because the whole point is the Gauntlet with all the stones is unstoppable. You cannot stop that shit. And the fact that Thor threw that axe and it went through it, it took away from the dominance of the Gauntlet, and it really just took away from Thanos, I thought, you know, because Vader was indestructible in the first Star Wars. Indestructible pretty much in Empire Strikes Back. Luke surprised him a couple of times, but at the end, Vader had his way. Alright, Vader was just that nigga, okay? All those villains I just named were pretty much, you know, unstoppable until the very end. Clubber Lang, General Zod, they were all, up until the end of the movie, they was untouchable. Thanos, besides the fight with the Hulk, where that was his introduction, that was just his intro to how badass he was, even though I had a problem with what he did to Hulk, but I understand why they had to do that to really introduce his character, like, this is the guy. For the rest of the movie, Thanos was touchable. Star-Lord got a couple of, like, everybody got their licks on Thanos, okay? And I feel like that did kind of take away from his dominance, but still, he was just like, when he did do badass things, like he really did badass shit. And it's like, damn, like I fuck with Thanos, man. So can I say he's the best villain of all time? No, I will not say that. I can't say that. To me, Vader will always be the best villain. In the second movie, I think that Thanos should be more badass than he was in this one, because in this movie, he was touchable, okay? Tony Stark made him bleed. Thor put an axe through his chest, alright? Doctor Strange got some licks on him. Spider-Man was frustrating him, okay? Everybody, Star-Lord got a couple of cheap shots in on him. And I'll agree with Jody on that. You know, Star-Lord, who was a human, was punching Thanos in the face with that gun and kind of fucking him up. And I'm like, nah, them punches shouldn't even phase him. I get all that. The thing with reaching down and Captain America catching his hand, I had a problem with that as well. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people had a problem with that. So, yes, this movie has its flaws. It has its problems. But I was entertained, okay? I could, you know, we can nitpick, we can do all these things or whatever, but at the end, I got my money's worth. I got a good experience in the theater. It delivered. It did what it was supposed to do. Second time around watching it, I loved it even more. I did, and I like Thanos' character even more. And I definitely look forward to seeing more of him, because I feel like Josh Brolin really brought it with that role. And yeah, I put Thanos up there as one of the illest villains. Not the illest, but one of the illest villains of all time. That's my opinion. That's my 2 cents. There's a good chance that Jody is probably not even gonna watch this video, all right? But I just had to make this just to get this off my chest, and maybe he'll watch it, maybe he won't. But you know, at the end, I want to give him a shout out, man. Jody, your channel is the shit. I fucks with you, man, and I would love to have one of these debates with you on your videos one day, man. It would be an honor for me, man, to sit here and go toe-to-toe with one of the kings of YouTube movie criticism. Alright, so big ups to you, Jody. Big ups to you, J3 Entertainment. What are your guys' thoughts on Thanos? Do you think he's overrated? Do you think they dumbed him down too much? Do you think the gauntlet was underused? Comment below, comment freely. Thank you for watching. As always, this is Rashad G signing out. See you in the next video.